Hey, what's up? Thank you for tuning in to One Purpose Magazine Digital News Show, Thursday at 8 o'clock. So, we are here to deliver you a little bit of news that we think you might be able to use. If you are over all of the sensational news, this is the place for you. This is what I do. I talk about health news, community news, things that's related to our people that help us grow, right? So I'm going to start off with I guess I can't call it a trending topic that has been trending all week. So it is probably one of the most popular, one of the most popular topics that's happening in our community right now, and it is with one of my favorite people, Monique. I know. Everybody's like, oh, we are over it. We are over it. So I'm just going to give my take on what I think about what Monique said. So I'll give you a little clip on what it was that she said, just a little piece so that you can remember. We refresh your memory. We will do that.
And as we began to walk through the airport, I saw so many, actually too many to count and too many for me to tap. But I saw so many of our young sisters in head bonnets, scarves, slippers, pajamas, blankets wrapped around them, and this is how they're showing up to the airport. And I've been seeing it, not just at the airport, I've been seeing it at the store, at the mall. I've been seeing sisters showing up with these bonnets and headscarves and their slippers. And the question that I'm having to you, my sweet babies, when did we lose pride in representing ourselves? When did we step away?
Basically, in my view, I just see her saying, keep yourself together. Do what you got to do to represent you, your family, and your people. What's wrong with that? Everybody has an opinion about what she's saying. I just think we should agree. I don't see anything wrong with it. What am I missing? Somebody help me figure out what I'm missing. I know it's the bonnets. We girls love our bonnets. Me and my daughter wear bonnets at night. We sleep in them. And, listen, I would say so. This is the thing. This is the thing. Let's say that this is with this scenario, you have to pick a side. Let's just say, for a debate, you have to pick a side. There's no in between. You can't say do what you want to do. There is no gray area. Pick a side. Out with yourself pulled together, or out with a bonnet looking like you ain't brushed your teeth with your pajamas on and house shoes. You have to pick one. Which one you gonna pick? Choose. No in between. There's no gray areas, black or white. How about that? Let's look at it from that perspective. Which one are you going to choose? For me in my house, we're gonna pull ourselves together. We're gonna represent Joneses. That's what we do. We're gonna represent ourselves well and do it in a fashion that says, I'm proud of where I come from. I'm proud of everything that got me here. I'm proud of everything that I stand on, and I'm gonna hold my head up. And even if I don't feel good, I'm gonna look good. Because that's just how it's done. That's how it's done generationally, culturally. We have always been, we may not be at our best, but we're going to look our best. It's just how we do. And I don't care. People say, well, other folks do this and other folks do that. We ain't talking about other folks. It's a conversation about us and who we are. So, I mean, you all can debate and you can talk, but that's my take. I agree. I agree with Monique. I agree with your sister. And if you're trying to get your 10 minutes or get your spot in the camera or be trending and talked about, then it worked. So we can move on. We can move on from criticizing it and trying to find something wrong with it. It worked. Anyway, that's my take. So let's move on. So I wrote a piece about economic development on One Purpose magazine. And the premise of the piece started from being refreshed and reminded about Tulsa Massacre. So back in, I want to say 2014, I had written an article that talked about thinking generationally. And I got a little pushback when I wrote that piece from people who were saying, and this is where the pushback came in. I said that we have to start thinking about capital and how we can build with capital. Credit, it's important to have good credit. Clearly, it is important to be able to go to a lender and say, this is what I do, not necessarily what I have. This is what I do. I pay my bills on time and I'm a responsible person. But when I wrote this article about thinking generationally back in 2014, I was trying to collectively get us to thinking about being the lenders, being the ones who can help younger generations start their businesses, grow their communities, being the ones who can provide jobs for people and things like that. That's where my mindset was. It wasn't a selfish mindset that said something as simple as, if my refrigerator goes out and I ain't got no credit, all I got is cash, how am I gonna get a refrigerator? Some of us have to be brought to a place where we think bigger than ourselves, and that's okay. We'll get there. And I understand that it takes time for us to get there, but we'll get there. We're working on it, right? We're working on it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the article that I wrote regarding economic development. And the conversation is centered around the Tulsa, Oklahoma race massacre. So there was two things that I addressed in this article, and at the end, I had given a couple of goals that I think that should be established for us in our community. Because I am not where I would like to be with my production, I use my phone. It's my teleprompter. Don't judge me, just work with me. We'll get there. Like I said, we all a work in progress. So anyway, I talked about the Tulsa massacre, and then I said, how can this resonate with us? And I said that I have always known about successful Black communities, being from Chicago and learning how our people were capable of building wealth and thriving in communities like Bronzeville and Grand Boulevard. I also learned that every time we do it, it's destroyed. Take a look at it. The proof is in the pudding. But I have never believed that the hate and destruction were enough to keep us from not doing it again and again and again. So where do we start is what I said. Let's define economic development. For us, Black people, it means creating and building upon wealth and communities that we can pass on to generations to continue to do the same. An example being Greenwood and Tulsa. Even if we do not live in these communities, we should start spending and investing in businesses within them. The goal is to improve the economy for Black people, the politics of Black people, and the social well-being of Black people. Now let's be clear. This is not a way to segregate us. This is a way to build us up so that we can live in the world equally. Of course, the systems and the government has to do its job, but I'm talking about us right now, what we have to do. Some goals in establishing economic development. Learn historically what was done. We're doing that, right? We're learning about Tulsa. We're watching a documentary. We're hearing from people, from the wonderful, beautiful woman who spoke about her experience of the Tulsa massacre. We're learning how they were able to rebuild after just so many nuggets that we're getting, golden nuggets that we're getting in real time to apply to our own lives. So we have to decide how we can apply what was done to our communities. How do we establish wealth among us? What resources do we already have? We have to use our resources. When you read into the history of Tulsa and you read about the founder, I'm going to tell you his name. O.W. Gurley, who purchased 40 acres of land in Tulsa. When you read about what he did, or if you watch the documentary and do your own research about what he did, he pulled resources within the community among Black people. And that is very important. We have to keep that in mind. So moving on, how do we establish what we talked about that? What are some areas that are establishing that we can invest in throughout the country? Who are the regional resources for media that we can look to for information? So I had shared in the piece earlier how one component that you may realize is very significant to my publication and what I do was the creation of the Tulsa Star, which was a Black-owned newspaper that regularly informed African Americans about their legal rights and any court rulings or legislation that was beneficial or harmful to their community. Information to grow. The publications did not provide sensational news. They did not provide things that tore down our community. They provided us with information to help us grow. And that is what One Purpose Magazine and all of its tools desire to do. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking about this. I really want to encourage people to get in order. Let's do it. I think that we should think about the principles of Kwanzaa daily. It shouldn't come annually. It's something that we should apply to our lives daily, because we have work to do. We have legacies to build, generational wealth to pass on, and we have to do the work, right? So speaking of news, speaking of digital news and information that is for and about our people. So I'm moving on to my next topic, and I was taken aback by what I saw on social media recently, and it made me a little angry and disappointed. Not surprised, but I was angry and disappointed because a news outlet had decided to share a story, and what it did was it tore down Black people. And I feel like it was very intentional. It was well orchestrated, and they used a weakness to tell a story that made Black people look like animals, monsters in New York City. So I want to bring light to this because I want to begin to continue. I want my platform to continue, and I want to begin tearing down the stigma of substance abuse. Substance abuse, no matter what your skin color, is an issue that some people just cannot control, and they need help and treatment to be able to function in society like a normal person. And when I say function in society like a normal person, I mean going to work, getting their education, providing for their families, things like that. And sometimes substance abuse is a hindrance to that. Substance abuse do not make you an animal. Substance abuse does not make you a person who should be ostracized from society. And so we have to stop doing that. And we have to stop allowing news media publications to create stories about people who are suffering to draw a picture for all people, if that makes any sense. Because I believe the agenda in this particular article was to make Black people look like they desire drugs, lewdness, and lawfulness. And it's just not the reality. Because in the article they said, look, we need our lawfulness back. These people want less police. These people want to be able to do these lewd things and do drugs and have their way with women. If you read the article, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And this isn't what we want. We want to be a lawful community. Give us what they were saying, give us our community back in New York. And they were talking about Washington Square Park, which is in Greenwich Village, which is by a university. It is Got a well-to-do community usually. I was there with my family. I enjoyed it. But the picture that they're painting now is recklessness, drug use, lewdness, prostitution, and things like that. And they're directly tying it to Black people. I feel as though, and this is my truth, and I've spoken about illicit drug use in the Black community. Have spoken about how we need to really pay attention to our people who are suffering. Just like we need to stand up for, excuse me, I'm going to say this, Alita Clark. I love what she does in her work. I know that she says that we have to change the terminology for homelessness, and she said that we should call them friends. But for the sake of the story, I'm going to say that we have to start standing up for homeless individuals to not be stigmatized as people who don't care and people who want to be lazy. We have to stop stigmatizing people who have drug use issues, substance abuse issues, as people who have whatever the stigma is that goes along with it. The problem is, the truth is that they need treatment. And that's the bottom line. And we have to begin to care enough to not allow the narrative to be told in a way that makes people who are suffering a monster, makes them a zombie. I can't believe that they actually use that in a news article. They call these individuals zombies and described them like they were animals. And it really broke my heart because these are people who need help. And I don't know what the situation is in New York. I don't know what the politics are, but I'm speaking on us and who we are and where our compassion needs to be. Our compassion needs to be with a suffering people. We all know what we've been through in the past year. We all know what this world feels like to be functioning and working. It's hard for us. So just imagine if you are caught in between a rock and a hard place, how it feels. And then to have a conservative newspaper come in and call you all these names, and there's nothing you can do about it. Not only that, my question is, it's a publication where pictures are published, these people's faces are published. Were they in their right mind to even give permission for them to use their image to tell this story? So we have to do better in our communities, I feel. We have to find treatment organizations if we see stuff like this happening. Finding organizations that's willing to get involved. We have to train people up to do what we have to do to help as much as we possibly can. I didn't name the publication. You'll probably find out for yourself. But the story is out there. And I hope that bringing awareness to it opens up your heart and your compassion to those who are suffering with substance abuse issues. It's a real issue. And we can't ostracize them. We can't call them names. We have to begin to embrace the fact that, and the truth in the fact that people are struggling. They probably necessarily didn't want this way of life, but it's the path that they are on right now. Can we care enough to at least not have them painted as monsters, zombies, and animals? They're human beings. And with that, I'll be back next week with my digital news show for One Purpose Magazine. I hope you tune in, like, share, subscribe, talk about it with your friends, have conversations about the topics, whatever it is you choose to do. And as we continue to grow, we'll bring more people on to have conversations. But right now, I'm just making my points so that we can grow and become an organization and a company, a media company together that talk about the issues. We did it in the past. We can do it again. So until next week, I'll see you.